Welcome to the Clause YouTube channel.
Together, we strive for a safer, secure, and more stable world.
Good evening, viewers, and welcome to Jaipur Military Dialogue under the aegis of Pause. And welcome to our eminent geopolitical specialist, Brigadier Karan Singh Rathore. We have been covering so far, starting with the realignment of the nations after tariff, Nepal, Bhutan, and Bangladesh, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Maldives, and today we are going to cover a historically connected country, that is Afghanistan. Afghanistan historically have been close to India. If we go back into time during Indus Valley civilization, thereafter was Afghanistan, what we see today. Kandahar was earlier known as Gandhari and Shakuni Mama. And Gandhar was part of Magad Samrajya. Magad Samrajya was the Rajdhani was Rajgir, which is still stand there in Nalanda district of Bihar. And Magad Samrajya, Gandhar was part of Magad Samrajya. And in Mahabharat, Magad Samrajya, Jarasan was the emperor of that time. He fought against Bhagwan Krishna and Mathura. And Shakuni Mama, who was with the gods, who was ruling present-day Kandahar, was also part of that. So we have very, very historical connections with Afghanistan. Socially also, what we remember during our lifetime, I used to hear a Kabuliwala coming. In Jaipur also, I remember a tall person with a jhola onto his side and selling dry foods, which I have also seen in my childhood. So there's a close connection, and one felt at home with the Afghans roaming about here. Afghans have been part of most of our royal states forces. They have fought along with the state forces for the causes of the state forces historically, and that relationship and their aura, their honesty was even counted at many times. We remember some incidents are there which I'll not narrate, but they have been, the stories are there, historical stories are there, which we have been learning and hearing right from the beginning. So now with that, down the line of time, India and Afghanistan had a treaty of friendship in 1950. Particularly after the US military intervention, things went slightly different in 2001. And role of erstwhile USSR, Russia, was there in Afghanistan. And Afghanistan came to concern with the rise of Taliban. Good evening, sir. Welcome.
Good evening, sir. I'm sorry.
Good evening, Maj Gen Sudhakar Jee.
For getting late. Laptop खुल ही नहीं रहा था, क्या करूं?
I could make it out. Something is there. I tried to give you a call, but I knew you.
Technology is such a dicey equipment. By God, I'm telling you.
I briefly covered the history of Afghanistan dating back to Indus Valley civilization. Then during Mahabharat, Gandhar, nowadays Kandahar, Shakuni Mama, who was the king there, part of Magad Samrajya, along with Jarasan, who fought with the Kauravas, and fought against Mathura, where Bhagwan Krishna was there. I was in Rajgir, Nalanda for 4 years almost. I know the history on ground, which is, I think, Rajgir is still known as Rajgir. Rajgir. It was the capital of Magad Samrajya and stands still there with 48 kilometers of wall. It is a history by itself. I think requires more time. Afghanistan thereafter, 1950, we had a friendship treaty, and slowly the thing changed. The interests of the US and rise of Taliban, which changed the dynamics in that area. And Afghanistan slowly slipped into uh, a state ruled by Taliban. It on and off. US got involvement, then US and Russia moved out. US took control, and subsequently, US also recently they left along with all the arms equipment intact, and even the arms equipment in the boxes, brand new, they left, whatever be the reasons. The reasons, I think we'll discuss how it has happened and why it happened. So it is also a thing which needs to be addressed. India looked after Afghanistan during COVID also. India have been doing that, vaccines, like medical equipment, and today also the humanitarian aid is still going on. As of now, there one of the minister, he is visiting India in the coming future. So initially, India was not so keen to have, as a nation, relationship with Afghanistan being ruled by Taliban. And even today also, it is maybe on the sidelines. The meeting is held. Let's see what it has in future. With that in the backdrop, I will request General Sudhakar Jee to cover up the strategic importance of Afghanistan, our relationship, that is India and Afghanistan, and sharing of Afghanistan's border with Pakistan, Iran, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and China. And we have a small portion which is in the POK, again, strategically important. With that strategic importance and the present situation and the present aspect, how it is going to carry forward, I request General Sudhakar Ji to cover that. Over to you, sir.
I thought we discussed he will start with Brigadier Karan and then come to me, but never mind. Never mind,
Sir.
whichever way it goes. Okay, good evening, Birendra, once again, and good evening, Brigadier Karan, sir. And very good evening to our audience, if at all they are there. Even if they are not there, we extend a very warm welcome. So the strategic aspect of Afghanistan, I'll cover because time is very limited. I'll cover the important aspects. We need to understand the geographic location of Afghanistan very well. When we talk about the geographic geostrategic importance, suffice to say, I'll keep it to the bare minimum. It is at crossroads of, I would say, civilizational intersection. When I say that, what I mean is it is crossroads to Middle East or West Asia as far as we are concerned, Central Asian republics, South Asia, and most importantly, this piece of land has to be understood from the perspective of its geography well. Why am I saying is that the entire contour of the geography has got a peak point. It's like the northeastern portion of Afghanistan. It is a pivot of converging mountain ranges. You have Hindu Kush, you have Kullu Mountain, you have Pamir, you have Tian Shan, you have Karakoram, you have Suleiman Mountains, etc., etc. All of them, roughly, if I recall and respect my memory, there are seven, eight of them, eight different mountain ranges. They come and converge in the northeastern portion of Afghanistan, and northeastern portion of Afghanistan is called as uh, Badakhshan province. Badakhshan. Okay. Warkhan corridor जिसको बोलते हैं, that is part of actually Badakhshan province. And from there on, the alignment of the ridges is from northeast to southwest. And accordingly, you can understand any military mind will be able to relate. And there are seven, eight water bodies, rivers which are flowing, and along the rivers you have the habitation sectors. As on today, I don't think they have had any reorganization. They have 41 provinces, if I'm not wrong. Should be 41. I had made some notes at some place. Uh, yeah, around 41. Boundaries, I hope you have covered. I'm sure it has got a boundary with Iran, which is running for about 921 kilometers. The next lengthiest of border is with Tajikistan, which has got around 1300 plus kilometers, 55 odd kilometers. Then it has got a long border with Turkmenistan. Turkmenistan is around 800 plus kilometers. Uzbekistan is around 144 kilometers. China is 92 kilometers. Now, our people have to understand when we talk about China, the Walkham corridor has got a border with China. That distance is around 100 plus kilometers. There's a 92 kilometers here, Walkham corridor. And the satellite images, they show that there is a fencing which has come up between Afghanistan and China. And along the fencing, there is a post. Earlier, they used to have a company post. I am given to understand something close to a battalion. Like China has got the border post, border personnel battalions. So out of that, the strength has been enhanced because at some point in time, the Uyghur Muslims, which is to be called as ETIM, is Turkestan Islamic Movement. They used to pass through that particular gap and mingle around with Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and Afghanistan. So they have actually established a fencing. That fencing is around 92 odd kilometers. Plus, very interestingly, for our future generation, they must keep in mind that Afghanistan also has got a border with India. This has to be kept in mind because I don't find any media platform or any of our curriculums in CBSE or any place we are highlighting this point. We need to flag this point time and again because this Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir means nothing. Each one of us must talk. Once the talk builds some momentum, it will turn into action. At some point in time, we need to take it back. Our border is with Afghanistan for a distance of 106 kilometers. At one point in time, in British India Empire time, there was a thought of making a tunnel. At the narrowest point is 27 kilometers with Turkmenistan and Tajikistan border. So from this point, so we need to take this back. This distance of 106 kilometers of border with Afghanistan is very strategically important. Gilgit Baltistan are important, but more important than is having connectivity with the Central Asian Republic. That is what we should be looking for. And last but not the least is the border between Pakistan and Afghanistan is called as the Durand Line. This Durand Line was signed between these two countries way back in 1893. People who have studied the geography and history with dedication and focus, they would agree with me that there is a clause in the Durand Line Agreement. That clause says the Durand Line between Afghanistan and Pakistan is valid only for 100 years. So that means the 100 years is over after 1993. So the sanctity of the Durand Line is no longer holding good. That also has to be kept in mind by the students who are fond of studying history and correlating with the geostrategic importance of a place or geopolitics. So after having covered all this, I have also touched upon, I think the rivers are Kabul, Helmand, Amu Darya, Hari River. Now, Hari River is a very important thing. Our students of geopolitics must keep in mind the course of Hari River. Actually, it passes through and thereafter Afghanistan, then runs into Pakistan. Thereafter, it cuts across the Punjab province and thereafter goes and joins with the Indus or Sindhu River. Now, we have developed a dam. This has to be understood by people. The $3 billion that we have spent in one of the projects is there is a dam across the Hari. And this dam has been done by people, thinking people. We are not closing our eyes and doing this thing. Whenever we want, we can actually control flow of water from Hari River. That has to be understood. If I'm saying anything wrong, our audience is welcome to correct me. But this is from my background memory, having gone on ground and visited the places. This is what I have understood. So that strategic selection of the dam site on Hari River has got a direct bearing on the lower riparian state of that is Pakistan. The entire Punjab can go dry if you control the Indus flow of water and the Hari River flow of water. That has to be understood. Next, I wish to highlight is that people will do good if you remember that Afghanistan's other name is it is called as the graveyard of empire. Graveyard of empire, because whoever has gone to invade and capture Afghanistan has come back as a failure. They have had very significant losses. There have been, during British India Empire, there have been three such kind of struggles or invasions, and after that, we all know what happened to the Soviet Union forces in Afghanistan, and thereafter the NATO forces, the Western alliances led by US. During the British India Empire, from 1839 to 1842 was the first Anglo-Afghan war. Again, if I respect my memory, they had troops pulled out from East India Company, and they had put them into this particular force under the British India Empire. They had gone to invade, and who came back? Out of 18,000 troops, only one person came back. He happened to be a doctor. I hope I remember the facts correctly. And this doctor was put on a mule back. Rest all soldiers, they were virtually massacred. They were butchered by the Afghan rebels or the Taliban, whatever you call it, by the tribal people. Next was between 1878 to 1880. This is the second Afghan. Britishers, they had some degree of success. They basically wanted to have a pro-British ruler in Afghanistan, because the basic aim of all these struggles was the Afghanistan used to be under the influence of Soviet Union. And during British India Empire, they wanted to change the entire format and have somebody who was pro-British. To some extent, they succeeded during 1878 to 1880. And as an extension of this success, partial success, I would say, the secretary of, in those days, British India Empire was Durand. I'm forgetting Motid, something like that, M. Durand. He was given the task. He was taken to that place, and Pakistan, and they drew a line between. In those days, Pakistan was non-existent. They wanted to have a border between India, because Britishers, they were very scared that the Soviet Union, the way they were expanding their influence, they could come well into the Indian territory. So they drew a boundary, and that boundary was actually relevant and applicable for 100 years. The third Anglo-Afghan war, which took place, was 1919. So this is as far as the Anglo-Afghan War. But the most important one is the Soviet Union, 1979 to 1989, which I am sure you would have covered, followed by 20 years of presence of the Western alliances in Afghanistan. They spent a lot of money. So, USA, all it by itself spent around 8 trillion, out of which 2.66 trillion was spent in Afghanistan. Out of 2.66 trillion, almost close to 1.66 trillion was spent in the military. And by the time they left after 20 years, they left behind arms, weapons, buses, military bases, ammunition, helicopters, aircrafts worth about 85 billion. Some of these weapon systems we get to see in J&K and Bangladesh these days, they've started floating left, right, and center. Also, I must bring out one point, that Afghanistan as a society is an agrarian society. They have 12% of land which is arable, and because the moot question which should come in the minds of people now is, how is Afghanistan running now? There is a total economic embargo sanction against Afghanistan. There are 9 billion worth of 9.5 billion or something has been frozen by the American authorities or the UN authorities, American centrally, and there is hardly any export, and they have to survive because they have not been amenable to the suggestions of the global body. Global body has said that you form your government based on an inclusive concept. Have women, give representation to all the people, and all tribes must represent. Now I come straight to the tribes. There are 14 tribes as on record, and out of 14 tribes, Pashtuns are the most dominating tribe, almost about 46%. At places you will find 44%. And then the Tajikis are around 27%, your Hazaras who are 9%, Turkis are around 9%, likewise. But Pashtuns are actually divided across the Durand line. This has to be understood because this is correlated to the Taliban. the concept of Taliban is actually very central to the Durand line to restore status quo ante of the Pashtun area. Pashtun area is divided onto either side of the Durand line, and they are in towards the northwestern portion of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Pashtun, they themselves, they have four major tribes, sub-tribes, and they are further divided into 60 clans and sub-clans and sub-sub-clans, and they have, it's a very complex system. But the beauty about this clan system is that at no stage within the clan they may be fighting, but whenever they have an outsider, they all join up together. This is the concept of the society. They will make sure that the outsider who comes to capture and rule them is thrown out at the earliest possible. This is the very philosophy of Pashtun tribe. You have to understand that all of the tribes, there are internal divisions between these tribes that I have indicated. Hazaras are towards the Iran side, and like I told you, Iran ke saath they have a border of almost 21 kilometers. And also another important thing that I wanted to share, climate is very harsh. During winter season, it becomes extremely cold and very difficult to survive there. And religion, Sunni Muslims, checkpoints. I have told you, they almost at one point in time they had 235 checkpoints across the Durand line. As on today, I am told they have come down to there are fixed crossing places. There are 16 of them, and these are designated crossing places. Also, I must bring out one point here is that I have told you about the number of districts: 421 districts, 34 provinces, and one point I just wanted to highlight before I go on to the strategic importance. Great game, yes. Now, despite what is happening in the world order today, the great game in flowing out of the geopolitical churn is the strategic rivalry. Wherever you look, you find uh, the great power competition is on. Afghanistan is no exception. Today, US is trying like hell to get into Afghanistan and take back the Bagram airport. Bagram airport is so located, it not only lends itself to dominate China effectively, but also keep an eye on Russia, keep an eye on the Central Asian Republic, on Pakistan, on India itself. And it used to be during Soviet Union invasion from 79 to 89, this airfield was actually developed by the Russians. Uh, it is to be the largest air base. So America is hell bent upon taking it. One of the reasons as to why Shehbaz Sharif and Munir have been invited for Munir has been invited for the third time to White House is to utilize the connections of Pakistani leadership with the Taliban in order to secure secure a commitment from Taliban as regards the Bagram airport is concerned, which I don't think it is that easy because Taliban is already up in arms and it is unlikely to allow Americans to come in into Afghanistan in any manner. Let's see how it pans out. It is very difficult to predict. You never know. It may happen as a conditional agreement. Second thing, what is happening is China has got into Afghanistan in a very systematic, scientific manner. And when I say systematic and scientific manner, means it goes in for a long-term perspective plan. And the long-term perspective plan, let's say, look back to 2008. China had signed an agreement with Taliban in 2008. For what for? Because there is a copper mine. It's around 40 odd kilometers. At places you find 28 kilometers west of, near Kabul. I think west or east, some direction. It is west, if I remember, to the west of Kabul. This copper mine has got a very high grade quality of copper. The Chinese had already started mining copper from it. But however, the Uyghur Muslims, they have been penetrating into Afghanistan, targeting the Chinese engineers. And likewise, it's been going on. The battle, ping pong battle is going on with multiple stakeholders. Second thing that China has gone in for is it wants to diversify its alignment of BRI. BRI, as our audience would be aware, that it is the flagship project of Xi He started in 2013 when he had gone to Kazakhstan, and he had made the announcement that the CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, would be a kind of a test bed. It would be a flagship kind of a BRI project, the success of which is yet to be given a green flag, or they are yet to test the pudding of success as far as CPEC is concerned. Whether they have taken a this thing on rent or lease for 40 years. It is being developed into a huge military base, um, and a distance of around 3,000 kilometers from Gwadar right up to Kashgar. They are having 6-lane roads. Roads have been developed, I'm told, out of 62. Now the total budget for CPEC has been revised to 65 billion. They started with 42, they went to 46 at some time, and in 2017 now it has been upgraded and it has been revised up to 65 billion. Out of 65 billion, around close to 38 to 40 billion has been committed on the ground. These are basically the road infrastructure, the hydropower stations, dams are there, then the power supply transmission lines, etc., etc. And they're supposed to have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, but they're stuck. They're stuck because Pakistan is unable to pay the cost of power being generated and supplied to people in the country itself. So until they pay, and they have got into such a debt crisis that until they pay certain amount of debt, so debts are being rolled over by China, and the rate of interest of the debts by China is anything between 4% to 7%, whereas any loan taken from IMF or World Bank or ADB, it is between 0.75 to 1.25, maximum 2%, with simple rate of interest. Whereas in case of China, it is majority of the loans are compound rate of interest. So China has penetrated into the way of life of Pakistan, which is not going down too well with USA. USA is trying to push it out from Pakistan. Again, I have my questions. At the same time, let me remind our audience, there is a book by the name of No Exit from Pakistan, written by Daniel Marke. That book has carried out extensive research. The author has researched on the subject, and he has come to a conclusion: no matter how bad the relationship between America and Pakistan may be in times ahead, in worst of circumstances, but America cannot afford to leave Pakistan all by itself. It will continue to stay. So often people keep asking, will America abandon Pakistan? No. It will continue to remain because of certain issues. The strategic importance of the geostrategic importance of the geography. Number two, the huge. It is to be the sixth largest armed forces in the world, and now I believe it has gone down a little bit. It is to be the ninth largest global firepower index in the world. As of 2025, January or February statistics, it has slid down to 12th position in the world. India continues to remain as fourth largest armed forces, as also fourth in the global firepower index. So that is just to give you parallels and comparative statistics. And more than that, China also has gone in a very significant manner as far as the military hardware is concerned. 81% of the military hardware in Pakistan, as we all know, have been imported from China. And also, it will do good to military people to understand that there is a optical fiber which has been laid between Chengdu, that is the Western Theater Command headquarters in China, with that it joins with the Rawalpindi. So anything that you see, if a satellite is flying over Chengdu, it is able to pick up the target, provide the digital as also the free flow information through the optical fiber, as if the real battle is being fought by China. Whereas as far as we Indians are concerned, to us it appears that China is firing the shot. No, the shots are being fired by China. Directions are given. Also, we should be mindful of the fact that along the line of control in Pakistan, we have around 11,000 PLA. There is also a system which has undergone change. The officers of Pakistan armed forces are going on 2 to 3 years of MS posting to China, and vice versa. Chinese officers are coming, they're deployed along the LOC and IB. Sorry for having digressed, but this is important. And also, it will do good to people as how Afghanistan is called as by different countries with different names. I had written down somewhere, I think it is, Anyway, it is called as a strategic depth as far as Pakistan is concerned. As far as Afghanistan is concerned, they call it a strategic curse. And as far as India is concerned, Afghanistan is called as a strategic distraction. This will convey a lot of meaning and a lot of depth. So, having said all this, Russia also plays a very important role. Its footprint may not be as significant as that of USA and China. However, it is keeping an eye on Balochistan, and it is keeping an eye on also Iran. It has gone in for very collaborative strategic partnership with Iran in the recent past. I think it happened in January or February this year itself. The leadership of Iran had gone to Russia when things were going out of hand. They have gone in for strategic partnership, but it is a kind of an economic partnership, and it does not entitle or assure any of the stakeholders a commitment that in case of military criticality, one party will help other and aggression on one country will be taken as an aggression on the other country, something like clause 5 of NATO. So these are the basic fundamentals, but the fact remains, as on today, Afghanistan is experiencing drought. They have a very serious human right violation. They have Sharia law which has been imposed, and they do not give any freedom of the fundamental rights to women and the girl children. This is what the world body or the global demands have been, that the present government should be inclusive in nature. They have 33 odd parties, and a few numbers may have been added in the recent past. I am not updated on that. And none of these parties, the total party at the apex level, does not have a woman or a women representative, and it does not cater for all the minority tribes in the country. So therefore, it is as on today, it is still called as a non-inclusive kind of government, which the global pressure must keep in mind, or the global bodies must keep in mind, to ensure that if not democracy, then some form of some semblance of inclusiveness and governance of equality, pointing, orienting towards equality, and also something which respects the human rights and international rules-based order should be followed. As far as the finances, economy is concerned, I do not have any latest statistics, although there are facts and figures with regard to the copper mine and other issues, but these are all outdated. I leave it at that. I think I've spoken more than 10 minutes, and back to you, please.
Thank you, Gen Sudhakar Jee. And you have brought out the important aspects of Afghanistan in relation to the world order, and in particularly to India and the adjoining countries. The one of the factors and historical thing which I want to bring out here was that Maharaja Man Singh of Jaipur, we are in Jaipur, so Man Singh of Amer, Maharaja Man Singh of Amer one, he went to Kabul in 1581, leading a Delhi Empire force. He captured Kabul. It is not being taught anywhere, not being mentioned anywhere. He captured Kabul, and one of his assistant who was there, he made him the governor of that place and ruled it for 6 years. He crossed the Indus River, and he made a fortress there. I don't know whether it is still there or not, at the headquarters. So Kabul was captured by Maharaja Man Singh Ji in 1581. That is one aspect which as Indians we should know. And being from Jaipur military dialogue, so the fact should be mentioned in the history. Today, when we look at Afghanistan, it has been in turmoil. As I would say, a civilization turmoil, from Indus Valley civilization to earlier, which used to be Gandhar, Shakuni Mama, a good quality of life. And even during our lifetime in 17, Afghanistan, Kabul streets were different than what it is today. The role of China, US, Russia, and the Islamic fundamentalists, that is taking a toll in Afghanistan. Afghanistan being crucial with the Caucasian countries around, and with Pakistan on one side. The civilization which was there earlier is under a threat. The visit of the minister to India, that needs to be seen in a light that what is US and Pakistan are doing. Munir, along with the Prime Minister, had gone to US, met President Trump. So it is something like a chessboard wherein a checkmate for Pakistan. Our relationship with Afghanistan becomes more important, whatever the situation is there today, whatever conditions are there. Probably in the backdrop, the minister visiting our country. Let's see how things happen. With this, I'll request Brigadier Karan to cover up the present context of Afghanistan in the world scenario, and particularly in relation to India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and the US, because probably in the whole thing, what is happening today in the tariff war, Afghanistan is nowhere to be seen. Pakistan is popped up by US, which is there in the picture. So, how do you look at Afghanistan, our role, and the world role in relation to the tariff plans which are going on? And the historical perspective, and one aspect which also I want Brigadier Karan to bring out was when the US left a year plus back, leaving all the military equipment intact. What was the reason? How it is being utilized? Where all it can be utilized? Over to you, Brigadier Karan, sir.
Thank you, Birendra. General Sudhakar Jee has covered it very well as to he's put Afghanistan into the right perspective. And he's rightly said that Afghanistan is the playground of big powers. And it was a playground of big powers, and it continues to be a playground of big powers. And as General Sudhakar Jee was saying, everybody has a stake in Afghanistan. The only guy in Afghanistan who's not being able to sort of control this, what he's going through is the Afghan himself. When you fundamentally look at the Afghan, it's a very agrarian society. As the general was saying, 12% is in the urban areas, and more than 76 to 80% are in the rural areas. And he was referring to the economy as wondering as to how are they surviving with very little external contact. The trade with China is also about 1 billion. They export some pines and nuts. So,
Karan sir, can you just there are two dots coming on your face where probably the camera needs to be cleaned something there. So
one sec, let me change the angle. How now?
Now it's better.
now it's better. Better.
So, there's a great game which is going on, and everybody has a stake. So does India. And India's stake in Afghanistan is that there should be a semblance of governance in Afghanistan, because Afghanistan also has the potential of they have all these sort of tribes in the Haqqani networks and various other violently oriented organizations, and which Pakistan was hoping they would be able to tap into once the Americans left, but it didn't work out that way. And so I think we probably have played our cards quite well. And government very sensibly, instead of after carrying out an initial assessment, they continue to engage with Afghanistan on humanitarian grounds. Our wheat support, sort of aid to Afghanistan, is about 1 lakh tons, of which about 50,000 tons has flowed through the Charbar port and the Zaranj road connecting Afghanistan. And a country which is extremely stressed as far as food production is concerned, and they're going through a period of drought, and they've just gone through a very bad earthquake which has affected their infrastructure. So I think the government of India has done well to engage the people of Afghanistan and build up a goodwill. If you read some people who tour go around Afghanistan, you find that the average Afghan looks upon Indians as their friends. And that is one part. Pakistan, which used to see Afghanistan as its natural depth, at the moment, it doesn't have that. It has lost that hold over Pakistan, and they, particularly because of this Durand line issue and the Pashtuns being located on both sides of Durand line, and the one second. Sorry. So, with the Pashtuns spread on both sides, uh, we find that the Pakistan-Afghan relations presently are not too good. And but with the Americans wanting to come into Bagram, and if they release the funds, Afghanistan's funds, which are frozen with them, uh, if they assure them increased aid, financial aid, we really cannot quite foresee that in the middle distance and far distance how Afghanistan will government will turn in which direction. That threat is always there, but at the moment we continue to engage with Afghanistan, and we our focus is largely on ensuring that the Pakistan's influence and the Chinese influence in Afghanistan is sort of balanced out by our activities over there. In my view, the Chinaman is not very interested in Afghanistan other than the economic benefits that he can draw out of Afghanistan in terms of mining, uh, oil, connectivity. That is this Wakhan corridor. It gives him an alternative connectivity with the CPEC, and most primarily is the Afghan assistance in keeping the ETIM under control, which the Chinese are very, very sensitive, and they have been actively, as Gen Sudhakar Jee was saying, targeting Chinese engineers who have been functioning and operating in Afghanistan. So, India's, but the Afghan is also worry, having seen Pakistan and other countries in the situation of the debt trap that they have entered into, and I suppose they don't want to get into that sort of a thing. And there have been issues with Chinese funding and some other things. So over for a period of time, Afghan Chinese economic activities had cooled down, but lately again they have started talking, and they are trying to restart the economic activities and the mining, etc., which was going on. So, I think as far as India is concerned, from the Indian perspective, we will have to play a balancing act in Afghanistan. And Afghanistan, to us, if we club it with Char Bahar, offers a good sort of access to the Central Asian region. And that is one region which we, as far as we are concerned, is relatively cut off because of Pakistan and being interposed in between. If relations with Pakistan would have been better, then this entire South Asian region, and the Central Asian region would have formed a very powerful economic bloc. But anyhow, at the moment, it doesn't seem to be very feasible. So that is all that I have to say, and I think we will have to tread cautiously as far as Afghanistan is concerned. It has little to offer to us, but we have a lot to gain in case, as long as we ensure that their government remains stable. The present Taliban government, which controls Kabul and areas around, However, the far-flung provinces, I think its control is pretty nebulous. And the ISKP and other terrorist organizations have been quite active, and Taliban has limitations as far as how much it can, what forces it can use, and to what extent it can control its far-flung regions. As far as what Brigadier Birendra was saying, the weapons, well, Taliban were fortunate that the Americans left behind vast caches of arms and ammunition behind. Uh, it may just be, it may become a financial transaction for them. They may sell to the highest bidder, to these arms dealers, and it may find, these weapons may find their ways, including the latest generation thermal night sights and all that, to various terrorist organizations operating around the world, including South Asia. So we have to be aware of that. And this weaponry in Afghanistan, in the numbers that the Americans, I mean, General Sudhakar Jee was talking about, Birendra was talking something close to $8 billion worth. We have to be very conscious as to where does it find its way. Obviously, Afghans by themselves will not be able to use all of it, so it may find its way to some terrorist organizations. And as what was being said earlier in this program, some of these weaponry has been found being used in by these terrorists in Jammu and Kashmir. So this is also one area of concern, and it will need continuous monitoring. Thank you.
Thank you, Brigadier Karan, for the views what you have expressed regarding the present situation in Afghanistan, the role of the countries around, and how the equipment which was left behind by US, where it is being utilized, how maybe like what you mentioned, that it might go into the hands of the highest bidder. Probably there has to be reason. One cannot leave that equipment just for nothing. And with that, the only concern which is today is that Afghanistan and Pakistan. Now, Afghanistan and Pakistan are two nations which, yes, historically, all these countries are part of India earlier, and so that was how it became independent. One is already aware of that, given to them, Pakistan and maybe Afghanistan, Mughal Samrajya. I'm going back in the history again. So, if you look at in context of Pakistan and Afghanistan, the developments taking place, the importance of both is there for us, and dealing with them. And in the present scenario, does Afghanistan having good relations, maybe I would say better relations with India, is a counter check for Pakistan? I'll request General Sudhakar Jee to cover this aspect. Then we'll go to the questions which are there. Questions, some of them are suggestions in the comments box. And the issue, I'll again reiterate that General Sudhakar Jee can cover in relation to both the countries, how it can be a balancing act, what can be done. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Virendra. Well, let me just put things in the right perspective. Population of Afghanistan is around 40 million. पहले 39 million था 3 साल पहले, but somebody has corrected, said it's 40 million, around 4 crores. Okay, Pashtun percentage is 42%. Tajikis are 27%. At one point in time, there was intense internal division and infighting to divide Pakistan into ethnic regions. It is still going on. This is to be kept in mind. Next point, before I respond to your query, I have said about 34 provinces, 421 districts. But what needs to be kept in mind is the multiple terrorist outfit which you, Brigadier Karan, myself, we have also covered. We need to look at it from a comprehensive 360-degree as far as possible. You have ISIS Khorasan, whose area of operation extends from Central Asian Republic, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, and the Caliphate, as per my understanding, is going right across to Auckland, New Zealand, touching almost all the countries in Southeast Asia, following along the path. And second one is Al Qaeda. Al Qaeda, at one point in time, even now, they provide tacit training facility to ISIS. This has to be kept in mind. They come under ISI. ISI is actually a coordinating agency. Till 2019, the ISI of Pakistan and ISIS. ISIS, if you recall, Osama bin Laden was neutralized 2011, 1997, and 99. He gave a promulgation that there will be a global caliphate and Islam will be spread on the face of the planet. 2014, the Daesh announced a promulgation with a new map. The whole world order is going to be under the caliphate of the ISIS. They tried their best. 2017, the backbone of the ISIS was broken by the Western Alliance's forces. The caliphate is to extend for a distance of 262 kilometers across Syria and Iraq. And but that was turned out to be a misnomer. They broke up into smaller splinter groups. One group, as you all know, is dominating its presence along the Sahel region. Sahel region in Africa is consisting of 10 countries. You have Mali, you have Chad, you have Niger, such like countries are there. You have Mauritania, also part of Congo, going right up to Eritrea. It divides the complete African continent into a very prominent corridor. You have one in the Levant area. Levant area consists of Iraq, Syria, the border coastal region of Mediterranean, part of Jordan. You have such like places, Levant area, and you have so presently ISIS is actually divided into these three components. One is the Sahel region, Northwest Africa or the Western Africa, cutting across the Central Africa. Second is the Levant area. Third one is Central Asia, extending right up to. How effective they are, it's just a matter of time. But the Al Qaeda is present. They have started showing their face in Bangladesh. Also, you must keep in mind, Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba also present there. They have ETIM, like Brigadier Karan covered, is Turkestan Islamic Movement, and they have many other jihadi groups who are operating there. And the Haqqani group essentially used to be responsible for collection of funds from the narcotics. As you all know, that this is the Golden Crescent. Afghanistan, the Taliban has come down very heavily and has managed to reduce the area which was under cultivation of poppy cultivation. They have brought it down significantly. At places I find they have, if earlier it was, let's say, X percent, say 100%, now it has come down to 25%, which I don't believe. Because how are they surviving? The question is coming, how is the government running? These are the questions coming to my mind. Anyway, now to come to your question very quickly, I would like to respond by saying that in addition to the turmoil which Afghanistan has gone through and going through now, the natural disasters are also making life unlivable. They have drought, they have famine. It is not catching the attention of the global body. We are all drawn towards Gaza and Ukraine and Operation Sindoor. Nobody seems to be talking about what is happening in Afghanistan. I think Afghanistan is passing through a very, very dire and the global organizations, they would do well if they start focusing on this. I really wonder if the humanitarian assistance are actually reaching up to that point, with Chabahar waiver having been revoked by United States. I don't know how India, although we are a very keen supporter of as far as humanitarian assistance is concerned to Afghanistan, how is it going to be supplied? So these are the questions which are coming. I really don't know how it is going to happen. Now coming to the issue regarding the evolving dimension. Pakistan and Saudi Arabia no comments. How it is going to pan out, whether other Arabic nations will join this club or not, that is anybody's guess. But even if they join, they have very little to do because the situation in Middle East is so fragile. Despite the 20-point program which Donald Trump has proposed, I really doubt if Hamas is going to accept it. Because what is coming out, the foreign minister of Pakistan in their parliament yesterday, I think he gave a statement that this is not what they had proposed. Those 8 Arabic or the Muslim countries who had been called, whose thought process had been taken to formulate a plan. So such like contradictions and counter arguments are emerging. Whether peace will come or not, I really don't know. But the fact remains that Afghanistan is throwing up a couple of points in response to your question. One point is internationally or globally, there is a gradual legitimization of non state actors. Afghanistan happens to be the first one of its kind in this very concept. Second point, globally, if you speak, Middle East is definitely unstable. Comparatively, it is most unstable, or rather more unstable than any other region in the world. Africa, of course, nobody is talking because the focus doesn't go to the black continent. When it goes, we'll start having nightmares because the things are really beyond control there. But as of now, apart from the Golden Crescent, there is a unique triangle which is actually operating in the Middle East or part of South Asia and West Asia. One is Afghanistan, second is Iran, and third is Pakistan. All the 3 countries, they have non-state actors as a tool or instrument of foreign policy. All the 3 countries. So therefore, they retain the centrality of instability as far as the global order is concerned, because it is from here that Osama bin Laden, he extended his outreach of cerebral acumen and targeted 9/11 successfully. I was in USA a couple of months back. People who have understood the security imperative prevailing in US today are not actually focusing onto the gun culture. They're apprehensive of the speed at which ISIS is penetrating into USA. There are fears of Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed coming to USA. Although, as per our understanding, they're supposed to be targeting India. There are also fears of USA becoming a target of unidentified terrorist group, jihadist groups. It could be Al Qaeda, it could be anything. The ATIM under different names. So the bigger threat is that they should not have another 9/11 in near future, which is quite likely. The way USA is going, they may be getting into the trap. Maybe it is that fear of not having a 9/11 again is compelling USA to take Munir on the lap, mindful of the fact it is the same Pakistan which he had made a statement, Donald Trump, in 2018. They've given $33 billion and all that Pakistan has given deceit and lies. So his same man taking Munir actually doesn't justify his action, or going in for a cryptocurrency thing, it doesn't. So at the moment, all that it remains is in India, prudence would lie in maintaining, firstly, contact with all the stakeholders, engaging with all of them. Although, with a very heavy heart, I am saying Pakistan is not a country worth its salt to be engaged with by India. Even then, I must suggest to the government of India through our discussion that in these changing and turbulent times, it is always beneficial to engage through track 2, track 3, or some means of communication. It may not be correct and prudent to actually cut off our communication with an adversary like Pakistan, because Pakistan is no longer Pakistan. It is a vassal state of China. Any future conflict which takes place, notwithstanding what our Chief of the Army Staff has said yesterday, or what the Air Chief has articulated yesterday, is not going to be by Pakistan alone. Pakistan as on today does not have enough, or 2 square meal a day, to survive or meet the fundamental requirement of survival of its citizens. It is a battle which is going to be fought by external forces, meaning China, meaning maybe America is one of the countries which will help Pakistan to fight the battle against India so that our economic progress gets retarded. Maybe the Azerbaijan and Turkestan or Turkey, they will continue to support Pakistan along with Qatar and other countries who are gradually showing invisible collaboration at the moment. In times ahead, they may get against India. We may be, in addition to the strategic encirclement which we are experiencing today, we may be compelled to face these kind of challenges in times ahead along the continental border, in the hinterland, as also in the Indian Ocean region. Therefore, my suggestion would be that no matter how unethical it may sound, we need to selectively cooperate with China, settle our border till such time we reach a target of 10 to 15 trillion US dollar economy, because our dependency on China as on today is very, very high. We cannot achieve our Atmanirbhar Bharat without securing the availability of some raw material as also electronic equipments and semiconductors from China. I must also bring it out here that in 2014, our economic pie diagram, which generally consists of agriculture, industry, and manufacturing, or manufacturing, agriculture, and service sector, the manufacturing was 16.7 when Make in India concept started. And we had decided as a country to reach a target of 25% of manufacturing by 2020. Lo and behold, in 2025, when you look back and evaluate, you find that instead of reaching 25%, the manufacturing has gone back from 16.7% to 14%. So this is very, very alarming, notwithstanding the chest thumping that we do. We are the second largest producer of mobile in the world. Second point that I have, Bangladesh. Yunus, we know he's a notorious guy. We know he's the ugly head of the deep state of America. But we need to open our means of diplomatic avenues and connect with people not in the limelight of media. There is a four brotherhood alliance of Rohingyas which have started operating in Bangladesh. So these four brotherhood alliances, one is led by ISIS, one is led by Taliban, one is led by Houthis, and the fourth one I have forgotten. It is also led by some inimical force against India. Their basic mandate is to spread radicalization into hinterland of India and facilitate realization of Greater Bangladesh. Same goes for Sri Lanka. Same goes for Maldives. Same goes for Nepal. Time is gone when we used to be engaging with only the elected or the selected powers. It could be anyone and everyone, and we have to remain in touch with multiple stakeholders because of evolving and changing times in the world order today. That is what will actually put us in a much more better position and profile to enable us to focus on and identify correct problem, analyze the problems critically, generate options, and go in for the selected and best option available to us. That is how it will give us solution. At the moment, I do not have well cut out, defined, crystallized solutions to any of the problems. It is just a evolving and a very dynamic process. And this is the best I can respond to your question that you have raised. Thank you.
Thank you, Gen Sudhakar Jee, covering the overall aspect and giving the insight into our neighboring countries and what is going on. There are certain comments which are there. Mr. Akash, he's gone back into history about Maja Ranjit Singh and Shilpa Murdeshwar. She has also given that, yes, these issues have been discussed, and it is a known fact that the adjoining countries are part of India earlier in the historical times. And being part of India is that socially, culturally, many things are there which are still connected. Maybe politically or geopolitically, it might be independent country. That issue is there. I'll ask Brigadier Karan. Any other points, sir, which you like to cover up? Brigadier Karan, sir.
Yeah, I would like to say, in context with what General Sudhakar Jee was saying, the situation is sort of building up against India, and we are facing multiple threats across the board. I mean, the latest being this Pakistan, Saudi Arabia uh, military uh, security arrangement, and if Saudi Arabia has joined, maybe other Arab countries may also follow suit. And then you have China on one side, Afghanistan, which is at the moment under control, but it has potential of being uh, of a disadvantage to us strategically if we don't manage it well. And of course, Bangladesh and these areas around. So we need to see how there is always a historical connect, the way I see things. When there was India, there were these Arab armies all the way from Turkey and the all these Middle East states, etc., including the Central Asian republics and all that. And for a very long time, they tried to penetrate India. Strategically, India made one mistake, and that was we retained a defensive outlook. We were content with pushing back the enemy for the time being. Every time we pushed the enemy back for the time being, and we continued like that for 400 to 500 years, ever since first Sindh was lost, and thereafter till the Battle of Tarain, which happened in around 1127 or something. For 500 600 years, 500 600 years, a long period of time, we were able to hold these armies at bay. They would penetrate, and we would counterattack and throw them back. But all he needed was one success. Whereas we got so many successes, but we did not exploit those success and break his back. So I would look at it that Indian Army and Indian Armed Forces, and for that matter, India, should shed its natural defensive orientation and take on an expeditionary outlook. And if there is a threat emanating, we should be able to hit it, whether directly or indirectly by using other forces. But whatever, anybody who threatens India or is is likely to pose a threat to India, it must be hit, and it should be hit and sort of dealt with in the terms and manner that it understands and the language that it understands. Uh, if we look at Alexander when he invaded and he fought Porus on the Indus, and then he looked at the Indian Empire which was sitting behind Porus. He did not have a heart to carry on this fight thereafter. He just went back. So we need to look at this from a historical perspective also. All these nations, because India is and will be the future Sone ki Chidiya. And so everybody wants a piece of he wants a piece of that cake, and that these tendencies we see are manifesting themselves. There was little reason for the Saudis to go into how do probably these Arab states view India. They look at us as a oil market. We buy their oil and they're happy about it. We buy more oil from Russians, and we have cut down Saudi oil purchase to about 14% from what it was earlier. Uh, they are now very unhappy about it, and they have gone in for a military tie-up with Pakistan. I mean, this is absolutely not acceptable. And so this is all that I want to say on this. That we need to have a more offensive orientation. Talking to people, they will talk to us, but until and unless that talking is backed up by a strong retaliatory response, they will listen to us better. This is what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Brigadier Karan. And very
Quick point, Virender, if you allow me.
yes, Sir.
There
Yes,
is
sir.
somebody who sent me a message. Yes, you're right. China is already put its eggs in a different basket of diversifying the CPEC through Peshawar and going through Khyber Pakhtunkhwa that side to Kabul, and from Kabul it intends to take it up to Turkmenistan. Turkmenistan has got it is the fourth largest reservoir of the natural gas, liquid natural gas, and gas itself, and it wants to have a pipeline connecting with Turkmenistan and bringing it to Gujarat Pass and thereafter to Kashgar and join up with the CPEC if at all it comes up. CPEC, as per my understanding, it is not 100% complete. It is 40 to 45% complete. It will take a lot of time. The roads are yet to be completed. They have plans for a railway line. They have a hydraulic pressure pipeline to be laid. Their aim is to get oil from wherever, Middle East or Latin America or Africa, bring it to Godar, and from there with the hydraulic pressure, they pump it up right up to that point. And Turkmenistan pipeline also will be joining that. As far as Maharaja Ranjit Singh, yes, I missed out. I'm sorry. Uh, he is my student. Yes, I missed out from 1813 to 1837. He is the first one. No, first one who captured Afghanistan was Alexander, which Brigadier Karan he alluded to, and he is the first military leader in the world who went to Wakhan corridor, to Badan Shah province or some place. Okay, and there is nobody else who has gone to that corridor. He went and survived. He came down thereafter. And also thereafter, Maharaja Ranjit Singh, he had very deep forays, and I still remember the Battle of Attock is very important in military history. It is taught to many of us, and three, four other battles which were fought successfully by him. He did not capture the entire Afghanistan, but major portion of Afghanistan, in with reference to the point which has come to me in the mobile. He did not capture the complete Afghanistan to the best of my knowledge. These are the 2 points I thought I'll just reflect quickly and hand you back the floor to you, please.
Thank you, General Sudhakar Jee, and thank you, audience. We have covered Afghanistan, and Afghanistan, due to its geographical location, historical connections, I consider Afghanistan as a tool of leverage in the area, wherein with the Caucasian countries which are there, Pakistan is there, and Arab nations are there. Afghanistan hold a very pivotal location if you look at it geographically. The second issue which is there, that Afghanistan to us has been a country which have been very cordial relations have been there, irrespective of the fact that the time of the government and the day of the government which have been there. The only issue which is taking a back foot is the Islamic fundamentalism which is going on. Probably that needs to improve. Afghanistan internal situation needs to be rebuilt. That is what is required to be done, and India should help in that. Probably the relationship is better for us. Afghanistan is a counterplay in that area, wherein our relationship with Afghanistan is also a leverage towards Pakistan and towards maybe indirectly it is against the US, which needs to be seen. The notwithstanding that the natural resources which are there, probably in coming times oil will have a lesser connotation with the solar energy and a clean energy things coming up in a big way. And with that, the aspect which Brigadier Karan had brought out, that yes, Bharat has been always majority of the time defensive. The time has come that we should have our offensive plans, offensive presences. When I'm saying not that offensive, you go and attack the countries, offensive presence is also required around us, so that the area of influence and with the area of interest, what we talk always, area of interest, area of influence, that needs to be seen in a very, very serious context as a country, and that has to be controlled by us. With that, I come to the end of the discussion on Afghanistan. Thank the audience and thank the both esteemed panelists, Brigadier Karan Singh Rathore and General Sudhakar Ji, for giving and very important aspects about Afghanistan. and the audience who have given the comments. And in the backdrop, I thank Yuvraj who helped us out in all the technical issues. So till then, I sign off. Jai Hind.
Thank you.